Joachim's wife Anna cried mournfully, "I miss my husband and I wish I had children." She went to her garden to walk around. She saw a laurel tree and sat down under it. After a rest, she prayed, "God of my ancestors, hear my prayer and bless me just as you blessed our mother Sarah and gave her a son, Isaac." Anna looked up and saw a nest of sparrows in the laurel tree. She cried, "Oh, why me? Why was I born? I am cursed. They cast me out of the temple. I am not like the birds of the sky, for the birds have chicks for you, Lord. I am not like the wild animals of the earth, for the wild animals of the earth raise their young. I am not like the homestead animals, for they have babies before you, Lord. I am not like these waters, for these waters give fish for you, Lord. I am not like this earth, for the earth produces its fruit in season and blesses you, Lord."
Suddenly, Gabriel, an angel, stood in front of her, and announced, "Anna, the Lord God has heard you. You will give birth and your child will be spoken of everywhere."
Anna said, "As the Lord God lives, whether I give birth to either a son or daughter, I will bring it as an offering to the Lord, and it will be a servant to him all the days of its life."
For Gabriel had gone to the desert after 40 days and said, "Joachim, the Lord God has heard your prayer. Go home. Your wife Anna will give birth."
Immediately, Joachim went down and called his shepherds, telling them, "Bring 10 lambs without spot or blemish for the Lord God. Bring 12 tender calves for the priests and the elders. Then bring 100 male goats for all the people." Then, Joachim came home with his flocks. Anna was standing at the gate. When she saw Joachim coming with his flocks, Anna ran and wrapped herself around his neck, saying, "Now, I know that the Lord God has blessed me. See, I am no longer a widow and am going to be pregnant." In the Hebrew year 3741. In late fall, his wife's pregnancy came to term after 9 months. Anna gave birth to a girl. She said, "I am so happy." She put her baby to bed. Anna bathed, nursed her daughter and named her Mary, daughter of Joachim, of Nazareth. Day by day, the child grew stronger. In the spring, when she was 6 months old, her mother set Mary on the ground to test whether she could stand. After walking 7 steps, she came to her. Anna picked her up, and promised, "As the Lord God lives, you will not walk on this earth again until I take you to the temple of the Lord." In her bedroom Anna made a sanctuary nursery and would not allow evil near it. She asked for virgins who then played with Mary. In the Hebrew year 3742. When the child's first birthday came, Joachim held a great party at Sephori's. He invited the high priest, all the priests, and the whole nation. Joseph, 76, and Salome, 51, came from Nazareth and attended. Joachim brought Mary to the priests and they blessed her. "God of our ancestors, bless this child and give her name eternal fame among all generations. And, exalted God, look upon this child and give her the best blessing." When the dinner was completed, the guests departed feeling good and they glorified God. Salome commented several times on the walk back to Nazareth how blessed Anna was. When Mary turned 2 years old, Joachim said, "Let's take her to the temple." Anna said, "Let's wait until the 3rd year, so that she will not seek us." Joachim agreed. When the child turned 3, he said, "Let's call the virgins. Let them take up lamps and light them so that Mary will not turn back and her heart will never be led away from the temple." They did these things and went up to the temple of the Lord in Jerusalem, a journey of 6 days without animals. The high priest welcomed her. Kissing her, he blessed Mary. "The Lord God has magnified your name for all generations, through you the Lord will deliver the children of Israel." He set her down on the 3rd step of the altar and the Lord God poured grace upon her. She danced triumphantly. Her parents went down, marveling at, praising, and glorifying the Lord God because the child had not turned back to look at them.
In the Hebrew year 3750, Herodas completed rebuilding Straton's tower into a new city on the Mediterranean coast. He named the city Caes Area Maritima after Augustus. What was unique about Caes area was the harbor that was built. It was the first artificial harbor built in an open sea. And the harbor was as large as the one at Pyros, the major harbor of Athens. Soon Caes area became the Roman capital for Judea instead of Jerusalem. It grew rapidly, becoming the largest city in Judea, with a population of 125,000. Aretas was strongly favored by Rome for bringing stability to Judea, but being a Sadducee was disliked by many Hebrews for his lack of religious zeal. He was best known for his building projects. He had earlier rebuilt the temple walls in Jerusalem.
Years ago, one of their vineyard servants, a Briton, had named her daughter Salome in honor of the excellent kindness of the older Salome. Joseph's wife Salome, now 60, became pregnant and was very happy. She became ill near the end of her pregnancy. She then died in childbirth. With her death, Joseph at 86 became the oldest widower of the tribe of Judah and the Phares bloodline. He took Salome to her final resting place near his mother and father. He revisited the feelings of being old. The younger Salome, now a midwife, had been with his wife Salome and the infant son James, who survived the birth, and had helped Joseph find and contract a nurse for James. As James was weaned, Joseph enlisted Asha and Lydia to care for him. They had their own children, although none as young as James. Still, it was not long before Joseph heard murmurings of his daughter's dissatisfaction with the current way of things. He began to see gray hairs in his hair and beard.
In the Hebrew year 3753, while Mary was in the temple of the Lord, she was pampered. When she turned 12, a group of priests said, "Look, Mary has been in the temple of the Lord 9 years. What should we do about her now? So that she does not defile the sanctuary of the Lord God." They didn't want any priest to lay with her or have her become a prostitute. They said to the high priest, "You have stood at the altar of the Lord. Go in and pray about her. If the Lord God reveals anything to you, we will do it." Each priest had a shift they served, whether as high, chief or common. Served from noon on the Sabbath until noon on the next Sabbath. There were 8 shifts, each occurring once every 8 weeks. The high priest, who was president of the Sanhedrin, served one of these shifts. The high priest was Zechariah, the husband of Mary's cousin Elizabeth. He went in taking the vestment with 12 bells into the Holy of Holies and prayed about Mary. An angel of the Lord appeared and commanded, "Zechariah, go and gather the widowers of the tribes, bring their staffs. The one whom the Lord God points out with a sign, she will be his wife." So the heralds went out to the whole Hebrew area, and all the widowers were entreated to the temple. Stopping his daily work, Joseph went out to meet with them. This was a futile gesture, he thought. He had a young son to provide a nurse for, he couldn't be dilly-dallying at the temple. He got his kit and picked out his best lamb and walked the 6 days to the temple, carrying the lamb across his shoulders to save some time. After the widowers had gathered together with their rods, they went before the new chief priest Simeon. After receiving everyone's rod, he went into the temple and prayed. When he was finished with the prayer, he took the rods and went out and gave them back to each man, but there was no sign. Finally, Joseph took back his rod. A lily sprouted from the rod and a dove flew from the lily and landed on Joseph's shoulder. The chief priest said, "Joseph, you have been chosen by lot to wed the virgin." Joseph replied, saying, "I have sons and am old, while she is young. Won't I be laughed at by the people?" The chief priest said, "Joseph, fear the Lord God and remember what he did to Dathan, Abiram, and Korah, how the earth split open and swallowed them when they rebelled. You do not want that to happen in your house. Mary, God has magnified your name. You will be called blessed among all the generations of the earth." Fearing God, Joseph took her into his responsibility. They were betrothed. When Mary reached 14 and a half, they would schedule a ceremonial wedding. Mary would get her festivities and then they expected they would lay as man and wife. They caravanned back to Nazareth. He said to her, "Mary, I took you from the temple and now I have brought you into my house. My son's mother has died. Your responsibility here is to care for young James. I am going to Sepphoris, but I will come back to you. The Lord will protect you." Over the next 2 years Mary cared for James and fell in love with the people of Nazareth. Even Joseph became for her the right person to marry as she loved him. He gave her a good life, and still looked young, though his beard was gray. Salome's death and worrying about James and Mary started to have him realize his mortality.